I'll do the donk.
Like
Just
we
brother and sister
I will
hang out.
follow your donk.
Yeah, chatting about media. Lol.
No!
Donk
Report! Okay, shouts out to the internet.
Lol. Yeah, I think I only watched maybe the first few episodes of Felicity, and I was like, oh, weird. I don't want to watch a show where she just like follows a boy to university. That's sad, bro.
Is that what
Because
happens?
she's like, yeah, she like has this big crush on this guy in her school, and she's talking to him on like the last day of school, and he's like, I'm going to this university, where are you going? And she's like, that one. And like goes there because she's in love with him or something. And I was like, oh, weird, bro. I don't know. Um, I don't know. What's Ally McBeal about?
It's like, I think it's just wacky. And she like works in a law firm. Oh my
Yeah,
god, the RL thing is caught on for me living in Japan.
lol.
Um, and I think everyone in the office is like fucking wacky. Like there's a guy with Tourette's and shit. And like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, let's give this a go.
But one thing I remember about it is
Oh,
there's like weird like animated shit. Like they like when
true.
something shocking happens, they're like, oh, and the jaw like drops all the way down to the ground and shit.
Whoa,
There's a guy
Buzzy.
with a fetish for wattle, like neck, like wattle,
Oh,
and like that's yeah, it's one of the most important things that I remember about it.
lol. What the fuck?
It's
Okay.
just like seems real wacky. I thought it could be worth a go. We might want something a bit more like adult after watching Gilmore Girls as well.
Gilmore Girls gets a bit more like adult and serious later, but at the beginning, because Rory's a kid, it's very like tame. I don't know, like it's always like PG, but you know.
You know, one of the things that I am finding is really interesting to me as we like watch or consume shit is like how shit is made or how where stuff comes from or something. Like which is something that Harry Potter kind of
Okay.
lacks, maybe. Like there's not so much of like a purpose behind it or some shit. But I was reading about how like how she came up with like the idea for Gilmore Girls and shit and how it like
Oh
came
yeah.
into production and stuff. But she was
What?
saying Amy what is it? Sherman
Sherman
Palladino.
Palladino. Yes.
She said that she wanted it to be like a sitcom but also like a family drama, but that didn't talk
Yeah.
down to kids. And I was like, that's kind of a cool idea, you know?
Yeah. And that
Like,
is what it is. Because she's like, kind of doesn't treat her daughter like a child, lol.
well, she does, but obviously because she was so young when she had Rory, she's like still young
Yeah.
on the inside. So they're like on a bit more even footing or something.
Well, she says at some point that they like grew up together.
Yeah, sure. And you know, I mean, she's still, I think she's actually quite responsible, you know? Like when she
Lorelai.
has, yeah,
Yeah. I just watched that episode where there's the snowstorm, so Rory gets stuck in Hartford and Max gets stuck in Solo, and
oh
she
my
like
God,
has that really cute date with him, but then Lane's there, so she's like, this
yeah.
this is done. I have to look after Lane because she's my other daughter. Um, or Lane. She's
Yeah,
having
like
that freak out because she touched that boy's hair.
bro, I reckon she should have just rolled with it and like been like, "Yeah, what up? I touched your hair,"
Yeah,
and he might have been into it, you
your hair
know.
looks great. I know. She's cool. I think she's got that real like well done teenage insecurity though, where it's like she's like real cool, but she's like, you know,
Yeah, she's pretty
like
cool. I
she
don't know.
joins a band
Oh
and
yeah.
she's like knows about music and stuff. Like she's a cool gal.
Yeah, I used to think she was cool. And this time around, I'm kind of like, she's kind of annoying as well. And she's kind of like, yeah, she's kind of annoying. Like, maybe it's because the actress is like 27 or something. It
Lol.
just like doesn't come across that well. But
But you're coming from a viewpoint of a man in his 30s.
fuck you. Man in his 30s knows everything.
You're not a, you're not a teenage boy at high school, you know?
I was once.
No, you
That
were
guy's
kicked
that
out
guy's
because you're stupid.
he's still in there, bro.
Lol.
Nah,
Um,
like the thing that I find it's like overplayed a little bit, her whole like teenage insecurity thing. And this is the thing that's like a little bit like borderline unconvincing with Rory too, maybe, is that like she's a bit too like aware of her own teenageness and like, you know, like a bit too self-managed or something. Like Lane is like too aware of her limitations or something. Like I feel like if she was really 16-year-old girl from a really strict Christian Korean family trying to be a normal American teenager or something, she doesn't come across like genuinely conflicted. She comes across like ironically conflicted.
yeah. Well, she's a sitcom character.
Nah, she's not.
You always want too much from your sitcoms, eh?
This is why I want to write like a TV thing sometime because like
Yeah,
I want to see, it's kind of this thing where like you watch something and you're like, I could do that better. But then
yeah.
you don't really know if you could do it better until you do it.
But that is like, like they're caricatures of, they're not real people.
Yeah.
Like, they all are, obviously. That's what they are. Like, Michelle's a really good example because he's like, his personality is like Frenchman. Like, grumpy Frenchman.
Bro, since you told me that he's not really French, and I think as the series could like carries on, his accent gets like less convincing or something, or it's like
Lol.
he slackens up on it as the time goes on.
Yeah. I don't think it's a very good accent.
I thought it
Like,
was at the beginning.
it's fine, but it's very French, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think someone who'd been living in the US that long would still have such a thick French accent, would they?
Well, maybe this is like an element of the show though that like everyone's like aware of their own caricature or something,
Yeah, playing a role.
which I like.
Um, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I like, yeah, that episode, Rory's birthday episode is really sad. It really gets me, eh?
Tell me all about
That
it.
Emily. What?
Tell me all about it.
It's just so sad that Emily can't like get the fuck over herself and just like
Yeah.
join in by someone else's rules, Like she has to do things her way. She has to throw Rory that horrible birthday party with all these people that she's invited because it's the proper thing to do, and like doesn't even check with Rory who she wants to invite. Like, even if that is the proper thing to do and you feel you have to invite all these people, you could invite like Rory's best friend in the world, Lane, Like
Yeah, or
you
Dean.
could. Yeah, but she doesn't know about Dean yet.
Oh, actually, yeah, no
Oh,
one does. Yeah, no, Lorelai doesn't even know yet.
no. Yeah, no. Because she sees them kissing. on the birthday night. Oh
Do
my
they kiss on
god.
the birthday night?
Oh, maybe not, but he
No, they
gives
just
her a
hold
present.
hands. They hold hands.
Oh my god. I do think like because when I rewatch Gilmore Girls, I only watch the Jess stuff. The Jess stuff, like Dean's so horrible through all that I forgot that like the beginning of them dating is really cute and he's like a nice boy and they're cute. But
Okay,
he's
don't
such a
spoil it for me. I'm
he's
not there yet.
such a dick.
Wait, just going back a bit, I think that's like a major theme of that whole relationship that Emily can't like, the kind of crisis for Emily is that she can't bridge between her sense of propriety and other people's needs, and that's kind of what drove. And actually, I think it's really artfully done how they like show you the grandparents kind of fucking up with Rory as a way of remembering the past about how they fucked up
Yeah,
with Lorelai.
yeah,
But yeah, like it's like she they still can't even see that the way that they kind of suppressed and mishandled Lorelai's personality and needs is what drove her to be a wild teenager and then get pregnant and
yeah.
run away from home and shit.
When I think there's some bits later where they have grown more and can like appreciate the life that Lorelai has built for herself. But so much of it is still about Emily. You know, like she's sad that she's missed out on so much of Lorelai's life, but she's not like how beautiful as well. Like how sad that I missed out, but how beautiful that you have all like this whole town who loves your daughter. Like that's so lovely.
And this
But
daughter who's so cool and like has become cool because
yeah,
she gave her freedom and like, you know, the environment in which she could grow to be her own person and, like go to a fancy school and go to a fancy university and shit.
man, there's this episode later,
Boy,
maybe in like season 3, 2 or 3, but Emily and Lorelai go away for like a spa weekend together. And it like doesn't go that well and they have a fight in part because Lorelai's like anticipating that and is kind of being a dick anyway. But they have this fight and Emily is like, why can't we have what you and Rory had? And it's like so sad, but Lorelai's like, because it's different. And she's like, why? Your mother and daughter, we're mother and daughter. And she's like, me and Rory are best friends first and mother and daughter second. And me and you are mother and daughter always. And it's like, oh, she just can't like let go of the structure of mother and daughter. And I am this like proper mother. And I
yeah,
guess like she probably wanted like the perfect daughter, but then they've fallen into the structure of I am the proper mother and you are the loose cannon and like
improper daughter.
yeah, you are unruly and you are rude and oh, it's so sad.
This is what like one of the things that we were talking about that like her desperation for real human connection is like sabotaged by her desperation to be proper or whatever. But she keeps trying
Yeah.
to do these things to connect that are the exact things that block the connection.
When she makes these small efforts and then expects them to be like result in big changes, you know, like she makes the pudding and they're like,
She doesn't make it.
no, but she requests pudding, which I think like when I was rewatching that episode, I was like, oh, they mean like pudding that's like
Yeah.
the consistency of yogurt or something,
Yeah,
like
the
how they have
custard
in
pudding.
America. Yeah. But I think when I was a kid, I was like, don't they have dessert every time? Like, I don't get it.
That's what
Pudding
pudding
just
is
means dessert.
in Japan too. It's like a specific thing.
True.
It's like a custard pudding.
Anyway, I think, yeah, it's like a weird thing where she wants to make the effort, and then when it comes to it, I don't know, she like
Yeah.
can't commit, or she expects like the little gestures to mean heaps.
When she makes gesture in her kind of language
Mm,
and refuses to kind of, like when they go shopping for Rory's birthday present and she keeps
yes.
trying to buy her like fucking little lady princess kind of shit, and like she's
Like a
like, I
hat
thought
for
we were
the
buying a present.
races.
I thought we were gonna buy a present here to buy a present for Rory. Lorelai's like, I'm shopping for Rory. You're shopping for your imaginary granddaughter. But yeah, I
I
really relate
know.
to like Lorelai's side of shit too, because she's single-handedly built up such a good life that is right for her, and that like is so happy and stable, and it's happy because it's not perfect and it's not manicured and shit, and there's like it's full of human connection and community and
Yeah.
love ultimately,
Mm.
and like just the refusal on the part of the grandparents, and like later on, I don't think we're there yet, but when Christopher comes back
Oh,
and they meet his parents, and his parents are even worse.
they're horrible. Um, yes, two things. Wait. One, yeah, that's like their settings totally reflect that about them as well. Like Lorelai lives in this town that is so full of life and personality and like character. And then Richard and Emily live in this like horrible rich person neighborhood devoid of personality. And like there's episodes where they're talking about like this person decorates their house for Christmas. It is so vulgar and like inappropriate and blah blah blah. But there's this shot at the end of um the episode where Rory gets stuck in Hartford, where she's looking at that like strip of photos um that I think is supposed to be Lorelai and Christopher when they're young.
Yeah,
That's not Christopher. It's just some random man.
it's not Lorelai either. It's different actors because they're young.
Mm, that man looks so old. That man looked like he was like 30. Was it not her? I thought it was her.
No, they've got this actress that looks really similar to her but young. That's her like as a. I'm just gonna look it up.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
Because
here we
there's
go.
an episode which is flashback of both of them. Excuse me.
Well, it's just I don't think he looks old.
He looks ancient.
No, he looks like a kid. Anyway,
Nah, he looks old as fuck.
yeah, so does your
um,
mom.
it does. She is old as fuck. It looks so much like her though. Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway,
anyway,
cool story.
Chris.
Chris
Chris
Pratt.
is. Oh, Chris.
Oh, I know. I just watched the one where he came back like a couple of episodes ago.
What? Oh, one thing we also were talking about last night is I said that I was up to the episode Paris is Burning, but I couldn't remember what happened in the previous episode. The previous episode is the one where Richard has a whole heart attack. Or like angina, and it's like a massive deal, and they all go to the hospital, and like,
Oh
well,
yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty. Oh yeah, man! Like the shit that they're building up with Luke and shit. I at the very beginning I was like, oh cute, they're already building up the stuff with Luke, and then I was like, maybe this is actually lame. I want her to get with Max.
Yeah, Max is great. He's so nice.
He's so like wholesome
Oh,
and whole.
totally. I just had that episode where Paris sees them kissing at the school. And it's
Yeah.
like, she is so responsible so much of the time. And then she does shit like that where you're like, you were so worried about dating your daughter's fucking teacher. And then you're gonna make out with him at the school when like there's people around and shit. Like, control yourself, bitch.
I know,
Ugh.
but they had to have some drama. Paris too.
I
I really
know.
like this like Paris streak where like she just freaks out and like goes, I don't know, not wild, but like like at the dump, and she's like starts yelling at Rory about how like she came with her cousin and shit, and she was like, I don't have to tell everyone, you just told everyone and shit.
Yeah,
Like
Paris
she
is fucking crazy.
her like tirades.
I love Paris. She's so mad. Um,
Yeah, she's
yeah,
unhinged.
totally. It's really hard not to like travel forward through the seasons, you know? Um,
Well,
like,
I'm gonna be
okay.
limited in what I know about that anyway, so
Well, there's this whole bit where when she doesn't get into Harvard, she plays Rory some of the like audio from her interview with the admissions person. And Rory's like, why did you record this? And she's like, I thought it could be donated to the school, which is insane. But also she's like shouting at the at the admissions person, and the person's like, oh, I don't think you're like answering the question I asked. And she's like, don't interrupt me. Like, bro,
her
chill the
brain's like
fuck out.
her brain's been fried by all the pressure.
Yeah. She's so intense. But she's such a good character. I think I think Paris was one of those characters that was supposed to be like smaller, but they loved Lisa as Paris so much that they like included way more of her.
Hmm.
I think, yeah, I think there's quite a few characters like that where they're like, oh, actually, this person's good.
Let's go back to talking about Dean,
Okay,
because you've
fucking
obviously
Dean.
got a bit of a complex about Dean. And like,
Yeah, I do. There's this whole, I think later on, he becomes way more like sad sack guy, and Rory's like so focused on trying to get into Harvard and like do all these things to improve her chances of getting in, and he's like, but hang out with me. You don't want to hang out with me. You should hang out with me all the time. And she's like, this is important. And he's like,
that's
but
actually
I
one of the
like
things.
you.
That's one of the things I thought was annoying about Lane too. Actually, like as soon as
Yeah,
Rory goes to Chilton and starts dating Dean and shit, she's like, "Why aren't you being my best friend anymore?" And like whenever
yeah.
she's got a problem, she's just like, It's like this, and my life is so hard and whatever." And it's just like, okay, well, going off and mope by yourself, like, what?
I know. And I
Yeah.
guess like, you know, they're teenagers. So I think it makes it hard when they're played by adults because you're like, you're an adult. I know you're playing a teenager. But also it's frustrating that like the beginning of Dean, you know, Lorelai has that whole talk to him about like Rory's serious and she wants to go to Harvard, and Dean's like, I want her to go to Harvard. Like, I want, like, if she doesn't go to Harvard, it won't be because of me. And that's so not the case later. Like, there's this whole bit where she's talking about like what will happen with them when she goes off to college, and she's like, "You could come and go to college in wherever Harvard is," and he's like, "I'm not good enough for that." And she's like, "Well, there's colleges you could like community colleges," and he's like, "I can't afford it. What would I do? Where would I live? What are you even talking about?" She's like, "Well, do you just want to break up when I go?" And he's like, "Do you?" And it's like, oh my god,
Figure it
shut the
out.
fuck up.
Well,
I don't know.
that's a story for another day.
Yeah, at the beginning, he's actually like, I think their relationship is cute, and particularly when like the other kind of potential romantic interest in the show is Tristan, who's so annoying. He's so annoying.
Well, he's
And
starting
I've
to
read,
waver now. Like he's really annoying at the beginning, and that's just his character. And then he starts settling down after he has an annoying girlfriend and they break up and shit. But
yeah, also like eventually, because I think at the beginning of season 2 is when Jess comes in, because Tristan was supposed to be like the bad boy love interest, but then he leaves the show, and that's where Jess comes in as the bad boy love interest. Um,
he's not even bad boy. He's just annoying.
Tristan,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway,
he's just a dick.
but like you're like texting me like, "Oh, Rory and Dean just have no chemistry and shit." But like, I don't think they're supposed to. They're kids and they're like having their first love or whatever. And
I
like they,
know, I guess because like Rory and Jess have this like I think they kind of play out the will they won't they as well. And there is this chemistry where Rory's still dating Dean, but she obviously likes Jess, but she kind of can't admit she likes Jess.
yeah, I vaguely
I don't
remember
know.
that.
I just think he's a dick.
Well, he's definitely not a dick at this point. Like he's super
Nah,
nice and he's super like
yeah.
devoted to Rory and basically does whatever he can to be a good boyfriend and shit.
Yeah, I think season 1 he is really nice. It's like when things are going fine, he's really nice, and then like when Jess enters the picture and he's dealing with all this like jealousy, which I don't think is like unfounded because Rory obviously does like this
Well, yeah, they
guy.
end up breaking up for each other as well.
No, Dean
Yeah.
dumps Rory.
Okay, whatever. Let's save
Anyway,
that for when we watch it.
in a really horrible way. Anyway, yes, I know. I do think that like it's kind of fair because she's kind of like fucking around with him. And there is an episode where Lorelai is like, you're doing a bad thing. Like you're not being good to either of these boys by doing what you're doing. And Rory's like, fuck you. I'm not even doing anything. It's like, no, you are. Anyway, yes, I'll admit, watching it again from the beginning, Dean is fine. Or like he's all good, you know.
I think they are setting him up to be a dick later on though, because I just watched the episode 2 where they're watching like that old TV show about the housewife, and he's like, "What? She
Yeah.
just likes cooking and shit."
Yes, I know.
I think
I
it's nice
hate
that she's just devoted to her husband, and it makes her happy to serve him and shit. And it's like, well, red flag.
bro.
Though
I
I
mean,
kind of think when he started saying shit, I was like, he might have a point. Like, women should also be free to choose being a mom and being a
totally.
housewife and shit. But then as it goes on, he doesn't really make any of those points. Like, he doesn't actually quite get there. He's just kind of like, my mom was a housewife and she still likes cooking for my dad on the weekend and shit.
Yeah. No, he's not making that argument as like a feminist argument of women can choose, and if they
Yeah.
want to be a stay-at-home mother and a housewife, then power to him. He's like, I would love to have a woman cook for me, take care of me. Lol. Which also like is fine. Like you can think that too, but it doesn't mean like that's obviously not gonna be Rory, you know?
Yeah. And he just has like a little bit of a man-child kind of a vibe. I mean, he is a child though, technically. But yeah, it is
I know.
confusing that like he's obviously like 20 or something at least.
Yeah,
And like it's weird
yeah.
to see these like adults playing out these dramas where they just look kind of pathetic because they're actually, they're supposed to be 16 or whatever.
I know. Okay, I just have to go check on my pumpkin that's in the oven.
Okay. Um, yeah, I know our like Harry Potter thing is kind of ongoing, but also because I've been like exporting all the Harry Potter videos so we can put them on
Yeah.
YouTube and shit. But one thing I thought that we talked about during the thing is that like there seems to be like a huge gap between like what the kids seem to be taught in school and what the adults seem to know like outside of the school.
Yeah. Oh,
Like they really don't seem to know to be learning anything valuable in school. Like they just learn like why are they turning hedgehogs into pincushions and shit?
I don't know. I
That
guess
was one
that
thing
is
we were
like,
talking about last night too, was like the ethics of, or like no, it was how long if things like expire or whatever.
yes, because we were talking about if um when you die all your magic goes with you.
Yeah, I don't think so in Harry Potter.
Nah, I mean when you point out the like logic of that, it doesn't make any sense. But it is a funny concept.
That is a concept that comes up in a lot of anime though, where like they've like they have a superpower or whatever, or like some kind of ability, and it expires when they die or get knocked out. Like it only
Yeah,
holds so long as they're like conscious.
yeah. I think that's in other magical systems as well, where like if a witch puts a curse on you, but you kill her, the curse is
True.
lifted.
Like if you kill the werewolf, then you like.
Yeah,
Is that true in Harry Potter?
I don't think so. Nah, I don't think so. I mean, in Harry Potter, particularly with like werewolfism, it's like a bloodborne disease, which is why everyone's like, it's AIDS.
I think she said it was AIDS.
I know, but she just, I don't know. Did I send you that video of her and Daniel Radcliffe talking?
Yeah. I think like
I thought that was so funny. And I think she has a point of like, like she's saying Dumbledore is this very lonely character. He doesn't have romantic relationships. And it is never said in the books whether he is straight or gay or anything, but that like
because why
she
would you?
knew, yeah, because it's not relevant to the plot, and like it's not like he had an ex-partner who he had children with or any, like it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's just funny her being like, I always knew he was gay. But also, I don't know why in the video Daniel Radcliffe's jaw looks so huge. Like
He's just
massive.
a really manly guy.
Which is why I said to you it looks like he's got mumps.
No, the interview is real awkward. And like I mean like obviously they just I don't know how well they know each other. They must know each other, but I don't know how well. But like it seems
No,
kind of
well,
awkward between them, like there's no kind of chemistry between them. But I also
well, it's
like
not like she's the director of the movies and he worked with her for like years and years. Like I don't know how much involvement she would have had on the set, you know?
Yeah. But also, like, I think what she's saying is almost like a deep thing, and I've seen it said by other people too. Like Quentin Tarantino talks about how, like, in the writing process, he can tell if he's trying to guide it too much and make it go to a certain place, because there's like, it's like the characters have a life of their own, and there's going to
Mm,
be a natural place that they go to. And you can see that in bad writing too, where, like, you can tell that
mm,
they're just trying to say this thing through the characters or through the story that the
yeah,
story
totally.
itself doesn't want to say. And, like, that's a cool thing, and it shows that she has a depth of engagement with the writing process where, like, the characters have a life of their own. But she
Yeah,
kind of isn't articulate enough to say it in that way.
yeah.
Like, she's trying to say this thing, but she kind of, like, it's kind of seems like she doesn't really understand what's going on or something, which is kind of funny.
No, when it does come across more as like a defensive thing of, oh, you've been criticized as you only said that he was gay because people had criticized the lack of diversity. And she's like,
Uh,
no, 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 no. I've always known he's gay. He's always been gay. You know, like it didn't come across as like a super thoughtful, deep thing from her, you know? She doesn't
yeah.
come across as that to me anyway.
Well, I think this is an issue that she has in
Because I
general. Like,
think,
there's stuff about, sorry, you froze a little bit, but, like, the stuff about like, all the stuff about gender and trans whatever, that,
mm,
her, like, turf kind of scandal, ongoing
yeah,
scandal, is the same kind of problem. Like, she's got something to say which is kind of like, I don't know, I don't want trans culture to take away from what feminism has achieved, or something
mm,
to that effect. But it comes out as like, that's a fucking man in a dress or whatever, you know?
yeah.
Like, it comes out
Wouldn't,
more divisive because she kind of doesn't have the ability to be articulate about it.
yeah. When you can see it with like comparing her to like Ursula Le Guin, where she wrote like those Earthsea books of also for children, but the magical world she's created is not childish. She's
Yeah.
created a complete world, whereas J.K. Rowling has written a book for kids, which happens in a magic world.
Mm. And then it's like these kind
Mm.
of, like, adult themes trying to penetrate into this, like, limited childish world. And then it,
Yeah,
like,
but also not even really like imaginative um adult themes. It's like, what if the Holocaust happened in a magical world?
yeah, like, what if we had, like, corrupt bureaucracy in a magical
Yeah.
world?
What if there was racism in a magical world? Like,
Yeah, I think it's the same overarching problem. Like,
yeah,
she's, like, just not, the channel isn't clear between the inspiration and the output, you know.
yeah.
There's, like, blockage in there that isn't quite being dealt with.
When I think she put more of her writing effort into plot
Yes,
than world building,
which
which is
has worked
fine.
out well.
Yeah, I mean, all power to her.
Yeah, we really
um,
need to be encouraging the turfs so that they can balance out.
it
And
is disappointing. Yeah, it's just disappointing reading it as an adult because you're like when I read Earthsea, I only read Earthsea like a few years ago,
yeah, same.
and it was really fun. It was like a really fun, easy read in a cool magical world. But when I reread Harry Potter, like I'm there for the nostalgia and it is still fun and I love the characters and I love the world. but I'm always messaging you. Like,
But
why are the Weasleys poor? It doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah.
there's so many holes in the world that it's really frustrating.
Okay. This is one thing that
Okay.
I thought of about how the magic works in the world, because of also what we were talking about with you know, do things expire? Are there rules? Like the fundamental question is like, are there rules?
Yeah.
And you know what I was saying to you last night was like things, you know, you obviously got to design into a spell how long it's gonna last. Like the Weasley wizard wheezes. I don't know if I've ever said that out loud. Um, they,
It's
you know,
actually
like,
not a good brand name if you can't say it, eh?
bruh, terrible branding. It doesn't matter in the magical world.
Um,
You
anyway.
know, a lot of their things, like you eat the thing and you turn into a fucking canary or whatever for 5 minutes or
Yeah.
something, and then they
Yeah.
expire. So obviously you can like design things, but I think a lot of the way that spells work implies that there's a higher intelligence, which like answers a lot of the questions about why is
Mm.
it like this, why is it
Okay.
like that, and it's like there's maybe if you're at a level where you can design a spell, then you
Yeah.
can tap into that higher intelligence and then like install a structure into this kind of like intelligent framework of reality that when people repeat the same process, then they get the same result or something. But it's like it kind of shows maybe that. Oh, you frozen.
No,
Oh no, you're just not moving.
I'm
Okay,
just focusing.
just a zombie.
Fuck you.
Um, shows that like maybe in her internal framework, it's kind of fundamentally like Christian framework or something. Like
Mm.
you just say these things and effectively God picks it up and is like, okay, this is what you mean. I understand. It's you know, like it's quite a basic level of meaning. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
say this word and it's gonna have this result. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
really have much of a metaphysical engagement or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, it just opens up so many questions which could result in such a cooler magical world, eh? Like,
Well, you know, like I think every fantasy and sci-fi that really goes there in terms of what is the makeup of reality ends up at the same place, which I think is ultimately quantum physics, you know?
mm,
And it's like there is an underlying conscious fabric of reality. And that's what
yeah.
religions have been getting at as well. And that's what people who have been able to do weird shit have tapped into. And that's also what explains like the connection between the kind of disparate systems that we've got.
Mm,
And I think you could almost get away with that explanation of Harry Potter 2, but maybe only because it applies to everything. But you know, like Earthsea,
mm,
you know, they've got all these disciplines like patterning and
yeah.
like
Well, oh, well, I was just
offended.
thinking about in Earthsea that they've got the true names for things, and that's like a whole thing that they have to go away and learn the true names for things, but also that you have a true name, and that's which is so like ancient folklore shit that like if you tell the Fae your name, they own you. Like
Mm.
to know something's true name is to own it, or like yeah, have some sort of power over it,
Which I
which
think
is so
is
cool.
that's like what she's getting at with like you recite this word or phrase and you get
Yeah,
this magical result. But she
yeah.
hasn't like she doesn't understand the mechanism behind it, so it's kind of
Mm.
like a facsimile of that. But like, you know, they've got this
Man,
like thing of patterning, which is basically like you can see the underlying structure of reality and manipulate it, which just makes a whole lot of sense. And I think like there's some echo of that somewhere in Harry Potter too. Like obviously like
Yeah.
high level wizards can do shit like that. But the thing for me, and I think I've probably mentioned this in our Harry Potter videos, is that like the whole point of talking about magic in a fictional setting, say,
Yeah.
is that you're talking about going beyond the normal frame of reality, and
Yeah.
how, what if we could manipulate beyond that frame of reality, the like mundane frame of reality? How can we go beyond that? How can we develop systems that allow us to see and act beyond that? And she's kind of like used the like magical setting to do the opposite of that, which is like, like they're a little bit special. They're like a little bit hidden from the public eye, or like the mundane eye. But then like the schooling maybe is then bringing back the same blocks and stopping them from
Yeah.
accessing the actual fabric of reality. And it's still only really high level people who access that like framework or whatever. So it's like,
Yeah,
well,
because also it's not, like they're not teaching them the like foundational like building blocks of stuff of how to like make spells or what spells are, or even like what, because I guess it's the same with like potion making sort of stuff, where like a syllable or a word could be translated into an ingredient, but they're not learning ingredient meanings, they're learning like potions, they're just learning
recipes.
spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon that is dumb.
Yeah, same. I think it's really lacking in depth. Um, yeah, which is such a shame because language is so cool.
Yeah, because like in real life systems as well, like in the qigong system that I do, but also in like Hindu, like esoteric Hindu practice and shit.
Yeah.
There's like mantras for specific things, and they're like
Yeah.
they're literally that. Like this set of words is like, or even at least the practice of them, the connection between the practice of them and the outcome is like embedded into the fabric of reality.
Yeah.
And so if you learn them and repeat them, then you get the same result and shit.
What's she doing?
Are you talking about a cat?
No.
Are you talking about J.K. Rowling?
J.K. Rowling.
Rowling.
Jowling, cowling, rowling.
Yeah. So, do you not care about celebrity relationships?
I don't care about uh what's her name? Megan
Megan
Fox.
Fox.
I was said Meghan Markle. That's a different one.
I always want to say Meg
And
Ryan, and I don't even know who that is.
wasn't she in
That Angel movie?
Oh, yeah. And
Nicolas Cage.
uh oh uh I can't remember what it's called. That one that has Billy Crystal in it. That romance movie. Anyway,
I don't think Billy Crystal's allowed to be in a romance movie.
nah, he was. It's really weird.
Is that why he's in prison now?
Is he? No, he's not. Not Calcifer. Anyway, I don't know about them. I think they seem a bit weird. I saw an interview with him where he was talking about how his daughter is 14, and I was like, whoa, I
Yeah,
didn't
previous
know.
daughter.
Yeah, obviously. But I didn't know he had kids. I didn't know he was old enough to have kids. I think I thought he was like in his 20s. But I guess he's not.
I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about Megan Fox either, except that she was in Transformers. And I saw one
Yeah, she
movie
was.
with her where she was a succubus.
Oh yeah, she's good in that. He's 34.
Sure.
Sure. Nah, I don't know. American rapper and singer-songwriter. His name
Yeah,
is Colson Baker.
I was like, who the fuck is he? And so I looked him up, and I looked him up on like YouTube Music or whatever.
Mm,
And his music sucked, for want of a
yeah.
better word. For want of a more articulate explanation. I was like, what is he doing? Like, yeah. It was like the most like run-of-the-mill generic pop / rap, but the pop side of rap, if that. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm not judging. That's just I'm not gonna listen to it. But
Yeah.
I think I just thought that they were hot, to be honest.
Yeah, I think they are hot. I remember when they got engaged. I can't believe it was 2 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah, well,
I
apparently
think
they called off the engagement. I don't know if that meant that they broke up, but I think it probably did. But I
yeah.
think it's just I thought it's rare for such a hot couple to have such a stable relationship, and I wanted it to
Well,
last.
yeah. I
And
think
they, yeah, you go.
that's so common in celebrity relationships where you're like, oh, cool relationship. And it always seems like they get engaged real fast and then they're engaged for like 5 years and then they call it off. It's like,
But I definitely don't feel like that about all celebrity relationships. Like, also, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't obviously I don't know these people. It's like some kind of
nah,
archetypal thing. But like,
yeah.
you know, Ben Affleck and one of the Jennifers that he dated, like,
Yeah.
didn't care, you know. But
Nah,
like,
I don't give a fuck about them. I
I
don't
think
care that he got back with Jennifer Lopez. I don't care, man. I don't
are
care
they
about
back
him.
together now?
Mm, no? Maybe. Nah, I don't know. But he was like married to that Jennifer from Juno
Yeah.
and had
Jennifer
kids
Garner.
with her. Yeah.
Oh
But
man,
like
you haven't seen Jujutsu
before
Kaisen, eh?
that, what?
Jujutsu Kaisen?
No.
Oh, it's an anime.
But he
Anyway,
was with J-Lo before and more recently, like after that is what I mean.
I
I
think
don't
it's
care.
when
And everyone's like, oh yeah, they were always meant to be together. I don't care. I don't care about J-Lo. She seems like a cunt. Like,
bro, have you seen the episode of South Park with them in it?
no.
Um, okay.
Okay, cool, bro.
I think it's when like celebrity relationships, or whatever. Yeah, for now, celebrity relationships where they seem really genuine and they're just into each other and it's cool. Like, Tom something
Oh,
and Zendaya, Tom Daya.
they're so cute.
Yeah, and they're
I
just
love
like
them.
you can tell how genuine it is, and they're like silly with each other, and like it just looks like a relationship
Yeah,
into it.
yeah.
In
So
South
cute.
Park, they like
Oh.
it's like this real racist like Mexican portrayal of Jennifer Lopez, and all she says is tacos and burritos. And then like Ben Affleck draws this Jennifer Lopez on his hand, like that talks like this, and then she's
Yeah.
like jealous because he's like cheating on her with it.
The fuck. South Park's so stupid.
I know, I'm not even into
Um,
it. I don't even think it's funny, really.
nah, Andy Samberg and Jane Yu, cute. Very
Uh,
cute relationship.
yeah, totally.
I like them a lot. I think it's so cute that they met because
At her show.
he kept going to her shows and then they met and he was like, I'm a really big fan. And she was like, I'm a really big fan. It's like, oh,
Yeah, I saw this
that's
interview with him
cute.
talking about it, and he ran into someone else famous, like Jack Black or something,
Oh yeah.
at the show, and he was like, "Oh, do you reckon you go backstage?" And he was like, "Nah, I don't like doing that." And him and Andy Samberg and his friend were like, "Oh yeah, neither," or whatever. And then when they other guy, maybe Jack Black, went away, they were like, "We're still going, right?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Cute.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. I think that's such a funny. I always thought it was like a weird pairing because she seems so like earnest and serious through her music. But
Yeah.
then like when you see interviews with her and she was on like Portlandia and shit and you're like, "Oh, you're funny." Like I reckon she's real funny.
Yeah, I saw this interview with her where I don't know if it was about Andy Samberg, but maybe not actually. But they were talking about like things that people might not expect about her or something. And she
Mm.
was like, "Yeah, I think the part of my brain that I use when I write music is a part of my brain I don't use the rest of the time." Because like she's actually like usually mostly silly or something.
Yeah, that's so interesting, eh? Because her music is so like
Rich.
rich and sincere and emotional and like I guess also because of the style of the music, it really makes it like heightens that or something. Like, because she does like piano, harp, violin shit. Like maybe if her lyrics were the same but in like alt rock or something, it wouldn't feel quite so like serious. But
I cannot imagine that, and I hope no one ever does that mashup.
no, God no. I'm just
Yeah,
saying, like it's quite a serious in itself style of music as well.
yeah, but you know,
Like,
she chose that style.
yeah, yeah, she's like a genius, like a musical genius. You know, she put out Milk Eyed Bendo when she was like 21 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like, she's
Fucking
so
young.
developed too. Like, it's so dynamic what she's doing, and she really is like, you know, this is kind of also what I was saying about like being interested in how stuff is made, like the process,
Mm,
like with TV as well as music and shit. And I think that's what draws me to certain things, like artists or whatever. It's like if I think that what they're doing in an internal way or in the process is dank. And like she's pretty much like the dankest.
she's so fucking cool.
Yeah. She's got a
Ugh.
really like she's like brilliant kind of. But apparently she's into like rap and shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she's incredible. It blows my mind. I don't actually listen to her that often, but I'll have a phase. And when I get back into it, I'm always like, oh man,
Yeah. I just had one this
it's
week.
so cool.
I just like I've been listening to like podcasts in the morning because I've been doing because it's so hot here, I'm doing morning and evening work.
Yeah,
Filming. And I've been doing podcasts in the morning and music in the evening. And I
lol.
re-listened to like East and Milk Eyed Oh no, not Milk Eyed Have One on Me.
Mm.
And Divers actually.
Yeah, I never got so into divers.
Nah, neither. I felt like it's hadn't developed that much on Have One on Me.
Yeah, I think Have One on Me was like so epic. And then Divers was like just an album. And it was like, oh, okay. Like Have One on Me was like 3 albums. And it was so good.
Mm.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, East is actually still my favorite, but like Have One on Me is like fucking dank. And I think she really like developed on her like musical breadth, you know. Like East
Yeah,
and Milk Eyed Mender are more like are quite similar in style, but East is like the pinnacle of that style.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then Have On Me is like, let's try all these things, like let's develop on all these elements or possible elements of music.
Yeah. Yeah, but Only Skin is such a good song. It's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
Oh
Bro, I like fantasized about like actually one thing I would like be super interested in doing is like interviewing artists or like famous people.
yeah.
But anyone about like their I don't know. I mean like I don't actually want to say spirituality. I
Oh
mean more
yeah.
like kind of their
Philosophy.
yeah, like model of the universe
Yeah.
or like internal life and like that kind of because no one ever talks about that shit. And like I feel like that's more relevant to people who are creating stuff
Yeah.
than what music they listen to or like what
Yeah.
influences they have. Because like the influences are almost just like a placeholder for what is already in your like internal repertoire or something.
When the influence is just a trigger,
Yeah,
like,
totally. It's like something that you're looking for and you kind of find it through that thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I kind of fantasized about interviewing Taylor Swift and being like,
Lol.
have you ever considered developing musically? Because like, oh, this actually came from that meme that you sent me that was like, um, just like a fucking throwaway reel, but it was like this girl like, what do normal people actually do with their lives if they're not listening to Taylor Swift? And
Bro,
like, I was like, man, you should listen to Joanna Newsom. Because like that's someone who you could
it
actually
blow their
say that
minds.
about. Yeah, like that. Yeah, like you're talking about
Yeah.
Taylor Swift as if it's like a deep spiritual experience,
Yeah.
which maybe it is because you're like connecting with such a massive population of people or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
you think that through listening to Taylor Swift, you're on like a higher or deeper level than like the
Yeah.
average population, as if the average population is not who's listening to Taylor Swift.
I
But
know,
like,
like, she's so popular. You are the average population, you
you are
know?
the normal people,
Like,
bro. But yeah, I just like I would be like fascinated to introduce someone like that to something that's actually super deep and dynamic and far reaching.
yeah.
But it really just made me think that like I don't know, Taylor Swift or people like Taylor Swift, and we're gonna have to listen to Taylor Swift at some point to actually qualify some of the stuff that we think about her, maybe. Because like I
I've
probably don't.
listened to one of her albums.
Okay, but anyway, like I feel like artists like Taylor Swift only develop in terms of how to make this stuff more catchy and more popular and not in terms of the like musical quality, you know?
Yeah,
Like that
totally.
one that was like Taylor Swift just managed to put the most heart gut-wrenching
Oh my
lyrics
god.
into like a fun poppy song and it was like I'm depressed, I act like every day is my birthday. I was like, what are you talking about? But that was what
It's
made me think
actually
about it.
so funny. Like that as like a comedy reel is so funny. Like this is the most intense emotional thing. Like I like to get myself a little treat because I'm sad. It's like
Yeah, but that was like kind of what keyed me into it was like, yeah, she has probably developed in yeah, like hooking people, but not in
yeah.
like musical skill or musical depth or breadth or whatever, or like
Yeah, well,
poetic
and it's
depth and
like
breadth.
what we were talking about where developing and hooking people is like going the other way
Yeah,
of like lowest common denominator. What does everyone feel like? Or happy when I'm with people I like, sad when someone says something mean to me. How
yeah.
do I
Sad
get
when my boyfriend
everyone?
breaks up with me because I'm too vapid.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I mean,
I don't
like that is
know.
a skill, and like it's a skill I
Yeah.
don't have. I'm not like, you know, I'm not denouncing that like talent.
Nah, but it's like a marketing
Yeah,
skill.
it's not a
Not
musical talent.
nah, no. Lol. Um okay. I'm hungry.
Yeah, I could be hungry.
Lol. I
I
wanna
could eat.
make my soup. Do you want some soup?
Yes, I do, but I want it cold.
Okay, well it'll be cold by the time it gets to you.
And it'll be moldy by the time it gets to me.
Lol.
Um,
Um
yeah, well, stay tuned. Next time we're going to talk about Christian meme culture.
Mormons. Mormonism. I'm obsessed with Mormons.
Oh, bro, actually, I think I just as a teaser
Oh
for
yeah.
next time. Um, I think I saw that woman you were talking about who's like an Orthodox Jew who
Oh
like
yeah.
sharing her tips and tricks for how to get away with using technology on the Sabbath.
That's
And it was,
buzzy, eh?
I don't know if it's, I mean, I imagine it's the same woman, but she was like, this is how we make tea on the Sabbath. And it's like
Yeah.
using the hot thing.
Yes. And you can't use the automatic dispenser because that's power, so you have to use the pump button, but then you have to put it into a cup that doesn't have the tea bag in it, and then pour it into a different cup that has the tea bag in it, because if you just put the hot water on the tea bag, that's cooking. But putting it in a separate cup first is not cooking. It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
What
Not that
is
I
wrong
believe,
with
like,
just.
not
What?
that.
Okay, you. If I like, this is my response. Okay, are you ready? Are you Jewish? Are you, are you committing to the like
Yeah. No.
the orthodoxy or not? Like the point
No.
is go without the convenience, go without the development.
Yes.
What's wrong with going without it? If you believe that that's your spiritual path to like God or heaven, what is wrong
Yeah.
with just fucking doing it, not finding these stupid loopholes that like allow
But
you to just have the same convenient or like,
yeah,
mildly less convenient?
that's the point, right? It's like fasting. You are going without for God. But also, I don't understand what uh
Yeah,
I don't
same.
know what it is like based on, right? Like, is it about power or is it about like energy? Like, can they use a fire to make hot water?
I don't know.
Can they, like, when is it coming from? Because obviously we haven't always had electricity.
Yeah, no, I think it comes from a lot long ago than that. If it says that you're not allowed to cook, I mean, you're not even allowed to. She reckons you're not even allowed to put the hotter water into the tea bag because that's cooking. But somehow,
That's
if it's a
crazy.
few degrees less hot, then you can put it in. I don't know. That's
But
I
also,
imagine it's
like,
about like a kind of stoic um suffering kind of thing. Like dealing with limitation raises your awareness. So
okay, then deal with the limitation. Dealing with
yeah,
the limitation isn't living the same life on a Wednesday as you are on the Sabbath. It's not having a fucking cup of tea. Like, you
yeah.
cannot have a cup of tea. That's not that hard.
Yeah, it's like Lent and shit, like giving
Yeah,
up something for 40 days,
yeah,
but 1 day a week. And like, yeah, I mean, that's the whole problem though with dogma, is that like you just find these loopholes and you're like, well, I'm doing what it says. And it's like, yeah,
yeah,
but you're completely avoiding the point of what it says.
yeah. You're following the word, not the vibe,
Yeah,
which is pretty like modern day religion anyway. It's
it's
like,
satanic, bro.
no, God says that gay is bad, but also like his Jesus's whole vibe was like love everyone, but that's not the same.
Yeah,
The vibe.
I think it was Sloterdijk or Zizek or something has this anecdote about like, oh man, I'm gonna butcher it, but
Lol.
it was I think it was Saudi Arabia. But whatever. It was some war in the Middle East. And like this guy, like high up politician was like bragging about how no one died during this rebellion. And someone's like, what about all those people who were put to death? And he was like, they were not men, they were dogs. And it's like, I mean, it's the same thing through the whole history of Christianity too. It's like, well, if you, yeah, it's like love thy brother, but like, you know, or thy neighbor or whatever, but like,
Yeah.
they're not human if they don't submit to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, also, I
Oh.
mean, yeah, I mean, that whole thing's fucked up anyway. You know? Like, Jesus didn't write the Bible.
No, it's like that. When like Christian missionaries went to some Pacific island and told them all about like the word of God and that they were going to go to hell if they didn't convert, and one of them is like, would we have gone to hell if you'd never told us about any of this shit? And the Christian is like, no. It's like, why'd
Yeah.
you fucking bother, bro? Like,
Well, actually, I was just watching Aubrey Marcus. Do you know him? He's a podcast guy.
nice.
Yeah, whatever. I've been listening to some of his podcasts recently. And he was saying that when he was in high school, he kind of got like duped into going to this Bible study thing. And
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, man, the last thing you can do is ask questions. But he was saying that he was like, what about all the people for thousands of years who didn't, you know, before Jesus was born,
Yeah.
who didn't follow Jesus Christ? Are they just all stacked up in hell now? And they were like,
Yes.
just didn't want to answer it. They're like, just don't ask questions.
I know, and it's the stupid thing of like, well, like I'm coming back at you with like logical problems of your Bible, when really like the point is that nobody takes it literally. And
Yeah.
I'm not like, but it's like if you're going to take it literally, then at least answer all the questions, bro. Like,
Yeah.
do it properly if you're going to fucking do it.
Yeah. I've been watching a bit
Oh,
of stuff like that recently too. Like this guy, Alex O'Connor,
okay.
who's he studied theology, but he's like an
Is that
atheist.
like young guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's real funny.
Mm.
But that's exactly what he does. He's like, well, you're saying that we've got to follow the Bible. But
Yeah.
so how do we choose? How do we know what to choose if it says like, if the Old Testament like not only condones having slaves but teaches you how to do it?
Yeah.
And they're like, but you know, like that. Yeah, the point is that it's not literal, but we've kind of lost the right brain ability to interpret story or like
Yeah.
understand story, and now we're only looking at things like, you know, like this shit about how like the world is only 6,000 years old and shit, and it's like ultimately who cares, you know?
Yeah.
I don't care. Like if
It doesn't matter.
we found some conclusive proof that it's only 6,000 years old, well, so what? It doesn't change the way my life runs. It doesn't change my
No.
sense of meaning of the world.
No. No, but some people it does.
Well, why? It's not like
Well,
the existence of dinosaurs 100,000 years ago. I don't even know how long ago dinosaurs were, but like, you know, like whose life would it really change?
yes, but some people put their whole faith in that, like atheists and religious people alike, you know?
I know, but that's just staking your identity on it. That's
Yeah.
staking your pride on it. It's not really
Yeah.
the
No.
dynamics of your life don't involve that in any way. You still refer like there's
No,
something
and if
that
they do, it's
atheists
by choice.
that like atheists and religious people really don't understand is that it's not the things that you think about that matter anyway. It's the structure of your unconscious that defines whether or not you believe in something or the way that you believe in the world. That's
Yeah.
why like so many Christians are like fucking heathens, because they don't, just because you're looking at the Bible and you're going to church doesn't mean that you are living in a way that would be like acceptable to Jesus, you know, or to
Yeah.
God. And on the converse as well, just because you talk about dinosaurs and like particles and shit doesn't mean that the structure of your belief doesn't refer to an overarching ultimate power. You know?
Yeah. Oh,
The end.
the end. I need soup. Okay.
Like, share, and subscribe, and buy our magazine.
Ah,
I'm gonna stop saying that.
nah, it's funny.
And
Okay, yeah.
yeah, no.
Bah. Bah, bah, bah.
Okay,
Okay, bye.
talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye.